In this edition of Project Vehicle Upgrade, we will be looking at a 2020 Dodge Hellcat. Now this vehicle is loaded with a bunch of good upgrades, which include performance, suspension, interior and exterior accent, and of course an upgraded car audio system. So stay with us as we break this down. Okay, so we got a lot of upgrades to cover, but let's start with the stereo system. So follow me this way through the trunk. All right, so we did a full custom trunk in here. As you can see, we got a lot going on. So we're up against this challenge of trying to get everything in the trunk and still have a good amount of bass, okay? So you have your air system that's in here. So you have your tank, you have your compressors, you have the manifold, and then you also have the plumbing that goes along with it. So in order to maneuver to get everything into place, we didn't really have a lot of room to do, let's say, a set of 12s or even some 10s. So we opted with the 8s, and these are the Mojo 8-inch, so they handle a good amount of power. It isn't a port of the box. The port is actually on the side of the box. You don't see that. You just see the woofers exposed. And then we have our air tank on top, and then our compressors here on the side. We made these nice panels with plexiglass and the Hellcat logo here on each side, so they're matching on each side. And then we also have some LEDs that light up with this as well. And as far as the amplifiers are concerned, we have the Memphis, and this is the VIV 2200.1, 2200 watts at 1 ohm. And then for our interior speakers, we went the Audison SR 4.500, and I'll go over with you what we did for interior speakers here in a minute. So on the floorboard, we did these 4 pieces, and here's why. So we wanted to be able to have the customer service this if he needed to. So as you can see, the battery is here, and also along with the battery, you have the factory fuse box, and then we have our fuses that we install for the amplifier. So if you ever blow a fuse, you ever need to service anything, then it's all right here, able to service without tearing a bunch of things apart, which makes it really nice. And here we have the diamond shape pattern on this panel, the panel underneath where the amplifier is at, and also underneath the air tank. And the reason why we did that, the customer had these diamond shaped floor mats existing, so we wanted to be able to match in the rear. So in the door, these come with factory 6x9s. We wanted to do an 8-inch speaker in here, so we went the Hertz SV200 Neo. So that's an 8-inch mid driver. Okay, so in the dash, we installed the Hertz ST25 Neo tweeter. And the factory spine, as you can see, we used the factory cover over the top of it. And then in the rear, let me show you exactly what we did here. And then we also went with the ST25 Neo in the rear deck. You don't see that, everything's behind the panel. And then behind that panel in the factory spot is a pair of 6.5, and those are also Hertz, and that's the SX165 Neo. All right, and another thing that we did in this vehicle, we left the factory radio because there's a lot going on here. You have Apple CarPlay, you have a lot of other things on here, your steering wheel controls, is we left that factory radio, but we installed the Audison Bit 10. Now that's an older unit, but it has a lot of good features that we needed. Because the factory radio is an Alpine system, we did have to sum the channels together and then put that signal back together and then send it out to the amplifiers to have a good, clean signal. All right, so that does it for the stereo. So let's move on to the air suspension system. Okay, so this is the AirLift Performance 3P system. As you can see, the controller is in the sunglass holder up on the top. This folds away, all right? And then from here, you can adjust the air in each individual bag. So it airs up pretty quick. So you got the 3/8 lines in here. And we already showed you the compressors, the manifold, and also the tank. But let's talk about the tank really quick. All right, so as you can see, we mounted the tank upside down. The brackets are up here, and it's just suspended. And if you notice, it's hydro dipped, and that was done by Creative Customs. That's a really cool feature, and once this thing's lit up with LEDs, it really makes it stand out. So we also have the hydro dipping done underneath the headlights and the grille, so the middle of the bumper, and then also around the lower grille. A lot of detail on this car. So you also have the hydro dipping here on the windshield wipers and beneath the windshield wipers. Okay, so there's also the hydro dip around the stereo bezel and around the instrument cluster. All right, so let's take a look under the hood of this thing. So you got some more hydro dipping here on the accents, valve cover caps. And then on the supercharger blower, this is powder coated. And then also the top of the intake is powder coated. And then on your intake, this is a leg maker intake, and you can see it's carbon fiber on the arm there. So a lot of detail here with this car. And since we're here, let's talk about the diffuser. So you have a full carbon fiber diffuser on the bottom with these brackets. And then in the rear, you have your stock spoiler and then an additional carbon fiber spoiler here. All right, and then he has a pair of magnifold mufflers and custom made drone catchers. He's got the trunk lid wrapped, the roof wrapped, and also the hood wrapped. And this is pretty unique. It's got that color shift on it. And the wrap was done by K&G. So depending on where you're looking at, it could be purple, it could be blue. There's some orange in there. At night it looks dark black, dark blue. Has a nice touch to it. Breaks up the silver. Okay, let's talk about the wheels really quick. Now, you may look at this car and go, why would you put a wheel like this on a car like this? But if you're not familiar with this wheel, or should I say, if you are familiar with this wheel, then you know why this wheel is infamous. For those of you that don't know about this wheel, this is a wheel that was on the BMW when Tupac was killed in Las Vegas with Suge Knight. So if you Google Suge Knight, Las Vegas, Tupac, BMW, you'll see a black BMW, and it had these wheels on it, and the wheels were actually all bent up because obviously they were, trying to evade the people that were shooting, and the tires were flat. But back in the day, back in whatever, 95 or 96, when Tupac died, having 20-inch wheels like this was like, you were only ballers had it, obviously, or rap stars had them. So it was made famous basically because of that incident in that BMW. So that's why these wheels are on there. And if you're interested, these are made by Triumph Forged Wheels, and they are a two-piece forged alloy wheel. So on the rear tire, you got the Proxys R88. It's kind of a slick tire. Not a lot of tread here, but obviously this is a race car. And these are 305, 35, 20s for the rear. And then on the front, you've got the Toyo Proxys ST, and the size on this is 275, 40, 20. All right, so that does it for this edition of Project Vehicle Upgrade. If you are interested in the audio products or the suspension products, there are links in the description below, taking you directly to the product pages. Okay, my name is Josh from Breaker Stereo and Performance. Thanks for watching.